Welcome back to What Sold, the channel where we just show you what we sold on eBay primarily. We're full-time resellers. We buy things and we resell them to try to make a profit. And we're going to show you exactly what we've sold in the last month or two, September and October of this year. Let's get right to it. All right, starting off today, we've got this bracelet. I bought this on a trip to Florida, a little sourcing trip earlier this year, and paid $8 for this bracelet. It is, they thought it was just costume jewelry, but it was in fact, actual turquoise. And so that was cool. Really pretty little piece with a copper metal, which I didn't realize, but I guess it's kind of coming back in popularity, copper as a color for jewelry. Maybe it's been like that for a little while, but it took me about a month to sell because I started at high and just slowly worked my way down. $42, was pretty happy with that. Here was just a scrap lot of silver handles. So a lot of times I'll go to thrift stores and I've got a lot of experience doing this, but I'll go through the knives and the forks and the spoons and stuff, and pretty commonly people will have donated antique or vintage pieces of cutlery, and a lot of people don't know that the handles, sometimes the entire thing can be silver, but a lot of times, if not, the knife blade, for example, will be stainless steel, and then the handles will be sterling silver, and they will say sterling in very small words on either the side or the bottom or underneath of the hilt of the knife. And so in this case, I just these were all kind of like old and or damaged, so I just harvested the handles and sold them as a scrap silver lot. A little bit lower than normal. These had a filling in them. They have kind of like a concrete or some sort of a filling, so it's not, the exact weight is not representative of all the silver. It's probably half that or less. But anyways, sold that for $200, and probably each one of these I paid $1 for. So there was like 5 in there. So I'm $5 in, $200 sale. Here's another scrap gold thing. This is like singles or little, pins or things that aren't really the types of things people wear anymore. And I would have paid about $3 per piece, with the exception of one of these pieces, I think actually came out of a grab bag, so I was in it just a couple of cents. But let's just say $3, and I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 15, 16 bucks, something like that, but it was all 10 karat gold. And these are either marked 10 karat or they I scratch tested them and determined that they were made of solid gold. So it was almost 10 and a half grams, and based on the current price of gold, 10 karat gold per gram, sold that for $250. This is a lot of, of Native American artifacts. These are all basically broken in half pieces of arrowheads that I actually happened to find. These are all personal finds of mine growing up in southwest Missouri, on family land, just walking along cow trails and stuff. So I was just kind of moving these. I don't look at them. I don't use them. They're damaged, so they don't have a whole lot of value except outside of just the enjoyment of my childhood being outside in nature and walking along and finding things. So I was no money into that. It was just my time and part of my childhood, which I really appreciated. Next up, we have a nice set of Rhinestone jewelry. These are all earring pairs. So, and I don't know why this won't blow up, but there we go. So you can see, these are the backs of them, but a lot of pairs of really nice older costume jewelry. Some really good brands with the names of the brand. Others weren't branded, but based on the style and the look of them and doing comparisons, I know that they were of some higher-ended brands. But sold these for $395. Any of you who think or don't realize that costume jewelry can bring really good values need to look up and be familiar with some of these high-end brands out there. Well, I'm not going to go into all of them, but if you just look up costume ring, costume necklace, costume brooch, and you look at highest sold items in the last 90 days on eBay, you will start to see a lot of the same brand names. Those were all things that I bought. It's hard to put a number on it because there's 76 pairs I would have got these variety of places. I amassed these. I didn't buy them all individually. If I were to have bought a pair individually, it would have been $2 or $3 at the most. But a lot of these came in grab bags of stuff that I've harvested over time and then made a lot out of. So it's kind of difficult to tell, honestly, what I was in, but probably I at least doubled my money at the very least on this lot. This is a really pretty piece, as you can see right here. This necklace was sterling silver, and it had kind of different colored, pieces of metal on it. It had the centerpiece here had a stone in the center, but around it is a piece of kind of frosted glass that they call camphor, C-A-M-P-H-O-R. They made all kinds of things with this, kind of in the early 1900s. Necklace, pendants, brooches, rings. I've come across all of those and sold them in the past. I paid $40 for this, sold it for $120. Took me a couple of months though, because again, I started it higher and worked my way down. So this is a Highland Mint is the manufacturer. It is a kind of like a commemorative coin commemorating the Arena Football League from '87 to 2006. This was given to me by a friend. He didn't want it, didn't care, and I was just like, yeah, just go ahead and sell it. So I did. Sold it for 20 bucks, and it cost me nothing. Now, this right here is a vintage oil lamp. And you can see here that, it's all metal. It's an Aladdin brand, and that brand sells pretty well. Model 12. Some sell better than others. Kind of got to do your research. You can kind of take a deep dive here to figure out what the exact model is. Sometimes you have to use Google Lens to try to figure that out. But I bought this and several others at an estate sale. And I paid between $10 and $20 for each one of them. This one was one of the lower end ones. It took a little bit longer. It took about a month to sell. And $40. So, after fees, I'm only making 14, 15 bucks on this one. But I bought about 12 that day. So if you add it all up, I've made a few $100s off of that sale. This was really pretty. This is a kind of an amber. It's amber, and it was sterling silver ring, big kind of thick fat ring. It didn't come in this case. I just put it in that for staging it for the photos, but really pretty, like deeper reddish kind of colored amber. It's tarnished. It had a stamp, the 925 stamp on the bottom there. I paid $5 for this, and people didn't realize it was made out of silver or that it was amber. They just thought it was just a piece of glass. I sold it for $40. So not a huge sale there, but every little bit helps. This next set is a set of reamers, and this is a tool set that has this particular type of cutting device that you would stamp. And I guess this is for like leather, possibly. I don't exactly know. I can't remember, but it was missing a couple of pieces, as you can see here at the end, the smaller ones. So it wasn't 100% complete, but it was in really good condition. It almost looked like it had never been used, although it had. So this set still, even though it was incomplete, sold for $100. Probably would have been closer to $150, $160 had it been new. And sometimes you can come across this stuff, or complete. Sometimes you find these things for 5 or 10 bucks at thrift stores or yard sales, and so that could be a really good buy for a resale if you come across it. I buy about 4 to half a dozen of these every year. This is a green banker's lamp, a green glass. This is a newer version. You can see I didn't even take any efforts. I knew it was going to sell. I didn't even try to move it away from other stuff in the warehouse here. But it's just got this green top. You can revolve it up or down. It's a newer one. You can see a nice newer bulb in there. But I paid $8 for this at an antique store, and I sold it for $75. Depending on the age of these and the style, some of the older ones can sell into the hundreds. So if you ever come across these for 10 bucks, there's definitely worth a buy, as long as you feel confident in packaging it correctly so that it doesn't get damaged in shipping. I've had a slew of bad experiences with UPS lately. They are harder on my packages, and that's even if I put something in a box and wrap it really well, and then inside another box, it's like they're trying to run over that package. I don't know what is going on over there, but I use it because it's a lot cheaper for heavier stuff than buying stuff through U.S. Postal Service when I buy through eBay. But I'm not kidding you, it's been like 3 out of 4 items I send have been damaged the last half a dozen times. I'm almost ready to stop using them entirely. You hear that, UPS? Get your act together. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. The next one here, vintage marbles. These are clay marbles. Some of them have kind of this, you know, different colors, purples and reds and stuff. Really fun. I got this and I bought multiple lots of marbles, jars of marbles and collections of marbles over about a month period. And I separated them all out into different lots. I have clay marbles. I had certain marbles of certain colors. I separated out all the German marbles, older, really old handmade marbles that have little marks, little pontils where they was clearly hand blown. And I've got that lot up actually right now, but this one sold for $31. I'm going to do really well on marbles. I would not recommend getting into selling marbles unless you have a decent idea of what you have. People know. But if you have decent ones, older ones, unique ones, they can sell for lots of money, hundreds of dollars per marble, no joke. So if you want, do a little bit of research on that. I think that they're fascinating. They're just like works of art. They're hand-blown, handmade. They can be quite old, but I think that they're cool. Next lot here is a lot of scrap gold-filled jewelry. I'll buy this stuff a lot of times for $1, $2 a piece, but I also find it in jewelry jars in different lots, and I'll usually pull it out. If it's not damaged, if it's good enough condition, I'll sell it individually if I think that it will bring good money. Otherwise, I can almost always count on about $1 per gram. So if it's a 5-gram piece of jewelry and it's gold filled, I can get $5 out of that when I'm selling it in a scrap lot like this. And so you can see I put it a little bit lower to sell it quickly. So I got it was 281 grams. They paid $260 plus 12 in shipping, so $272. So I was almost spot on there, within $10 difference of what a person paid for that. And I'm sure, probably $50 at the most in on this whole lot. So that's pretty good. Here was a necklace and charm. I found the 14 karat gold necklace. I paid $5 for it at a thrift store. About a month later, I bought this charm. I paid $25 for this charm. So I was $30 in. They didn't realize it was gold. In either case, they didn't know it was gold, but both of them were 14 karat. And because it was a pendant, instead of selling them separately, I decided to put them together, sweeten the deal. So I'm $30 in. I was able to sell this for $170. If I'd sold them separately or waited longer, I would have made more money, but I'm all about volume. I'm trying to get that stuff out, get my money back so that I can pay bills, because this is my job. This is how I make a living, and also take some to reinvest, buy more items so that I can continue doing this. Another one of these scrap. I did a lot of scrap lots in the last month and a half, a lot of gold and silver. Gold has been at a little bit of a higher price in the last little bit, and so it made sense to kind of get it. It's been, 14 karat gold's been $37 and over per gram for a little while. And so here's an example. This came from a broken necklace that had what they would call Baroque pearls. So they were pink and they kind of had ridges and lines on them. They were cultured pearls. They're quite beautiful. I'm going to sell those separately, but it was broken. It was going to be hard to repair because of where it was broken at. And so I decided to just harvest the pearls and then sell the gold as scrap. So 3.7 grams generally of 14 karat gold, and I think I accepted best offer of $114. So $114. I paid $3 for this necklace, and I made $114 off of the gold. I'll make some other amount whenever I sell the pearls in addition. Here were some brooches. Would have liked to have made a little bit more than this. If I had waited another month to sell it, I would have, because it would have been closer to Christmas. When you get close to Halloween, sell Halloween stuff. When you get close to Christmas, sell Christmas stuff. And same goes with Valentine's Day. You got those vintage Valentine's postcards. Sell those about 2 to 3 weeks before Valentine's Day, because that's the peak of the interest and the peak amount you'll make over the course of a year. And so as I was going through, I had lots of things and I'm pulling out stuff that made sense to sell. I would separate out the Christmas themed jewelry, and then I waited all year and I started listing it now. And so something like this might not have sold at all for this price a month before. Now it's selling for this price another month. Could have gone for more. So this is all stuff. I probably am only a few cents in on these because the lots that I bought these in, I've already sold the other things from those lots and made profit. So these, in a way, these were free. There's no cost involved with these anymore. And this money I made, 7 bids, $36. This was a great little find here. I bought this. I paid up for it, actually, because I did some research and I knew it was going to be, it was kind of unique. I don't come across this. I paid $50. I almost never pay that much for costume jewelry. Almost never. This is one of the rare cases. This was a pair of basically like, I put shoe clips. It can also be like a fur clip. When women used to wear fur coats and scarves and things, they would clip this on. Let me find the back of it so you can see. It's a very unique, almost like a two-prong situation that folds back. And inside of there, it had a marking. As you can see, it says Christian Dior by Kramer. So Christian Dior, pretty high-end costume brand. Kramer, a pretty high-end costume brand, Kramer of New York, sometimes you'll see, or just Kramer. This was apparently a collaboration. Kramer was the manufacturer, but they made it and branded it for sale for Christian Dior. A pretty rare item, fairly collectible. There aren't very many of them available, certainly not in this particular color or style. So that $50 sold in a week for $305 on auction. So if you ever come across these clips, don't think to yourself, well, that's not the kind of thing people wear anymore. Who would care about that? It's kind of weird. I don't know what it is. Always do your research, because stuff that most people might cast aside or completely ignore can have high values. It's just a matter of spending 2 minutes on your phone to try to research that. Here was another item I got earlier in the year because we're getting close to Halloween. Halloween is next week. And so I held on to this. I only paid $1 for it at a thrift store. Turned that into $17 because people are buying stuff because Halloween is almost here. This was... I bought a bin, like a tub, basically, at a thrift store for $40. And inside of this bin were maybe 6 different seats, like saddle seats for bikes, mountain bikes and road bikes. There were several stems that go on the frame that connect the handlebars to the frame of the bike. There were some calipers, some brake calipers. There were some hand brakes. And then this item, which is it's basically a camera, like a video camera, that you can mount to your bike that both will video what's going on while you're riding. It also has like an LED light on it so that in traffic people would see you if you're riding at night, for example. And it had the capability of holding an SD card so that you could take that out with the video and edit it. Really cool. I pay so $40 for the whole bin. This item by itself sold for $120. I've sold half of the stems. I've sold all of the seats. And there's a couple more items in there that I haven't sold yet. But, $40 is going to end up being $200 to $250 dollars back to me once everything is sold. Here are some old tobacco tins, and you got to be careful with items. I should have mentioned this before, but like Native American artifacts is one of those categories. Things that are tobacco related or alcohol related, anything that has to do with firearms. You can't sell firearms, but you can sell some firearm related things like advertising. It's difficult. There are a lot of rules and policies, so it's good if you're not sure, make sure you read up on eBay policies, because if you try to sell something that's prohibited, they will remove it from the store, your store, and depending on how severe they feel like it was, they may just remove the item. They may put a temporary hold on your account. I've also heard of them shutting it down for a month, 3 months, or entirely just shutting down your entire store. So for someone like me that sells online, about 95+% of what I sell is on eBay, and through a couple of stores, that could be devastating to my business if that happens. So you got to be very careful. But this was a lot. This came from a thrift store. I didn't buy out an entire thrift store, but I bought all the contents in a room of a thrift store that took 2 U-Haul trucks to remove, and this happened to be in there. So I'm basically into this nothing, because within 2 weeks of buying that, I was already into profit, and this is about 8 months later. Well, more than that. This is 10 months later. It's been less than a year, but again, I put these up high. I think I started them at $120, and over the few months, I've reduced it. I was able to wait because I've already made my money back and profit, and I still have things from that I'm selling. But this was $50. If these had been in better condition, it would have sold more for more.
Had I sold them all individually, I could have maybe made between $14 and $20 a piece on these, but I really wanted to move it and get the space back. This was an item that I bought at an antique store in Wilmington, North Carolina earlier this year in the summer, and it just said vintage item, and it just said, I think it was $4 is what it cost. And they didn't know what it was, but I did, because I've actually come across these and sold them in the past. What you're looking at is an antique handmade oyster shucking knife. And so it's made out of steel, and they've polished it, and it's old. They used to make these up in New England area, not surprisingly on the East Coast. A few different manufacturers made them. I've even come across ones that were fashioned out of rebar, so that the handle is you can grip it because the grooves for the rebar. Really cool. Turned $4 investment into $26 just because I happen to know what it was. Now this was a really cool lot. I come across these all the time. I buy them at thrift stores. I buy them at antique stores, $5 or less a piece usually. So I've got, what do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So $30 at the most is what I would be in on these. And most of them are gold filled as well. A lot of times people don't know, but here at the end here, the little hook that would have clipped onto the pocket watch, it will say usually a brand name, or it might say gold filled or 1/20th 12K GF or something like that. So these are all antique or vintage, early 1900s into the 1800s pocket watch chains and fobs. And people buy these to collect them. They sometimes buy them to harvest the gold, and other times they are using them with pocket watches that they have, so that they can have a complete watch and the chain together. $279. I was really happy with that. This lot sold, I was actually selling a bunch of tools for somebody locally who had a parent pass away, and they had a bunch of tools there that they needed to move out and sell and get the house ready to sell. And so this wasn't something I purchased, but I worked out a deal where I took a percentage of the sale and sold it on their behalf. And so what you're looking at is Craig brand tool-related items. These are things that assist in carpentry type work, drilling pilot holes, screwing in screws, joining pieces of wood or metal together. And you've got clamps here, you've got screws and various items. These things, people like these. They're kind of specialized. There's a particular method as to how to use them. And so I was happy with this lot. I didn't care to really sell it. I wanted to do it fast for this person. So $86. And got that money over to them. Here we go, another lot of scrap gold, 14 karat scrap gold. Again, we've got singles, we've got broken pieces, a couple of hoop earrings that were really lightweight that I wasn't able to sell very quickly on their own, so I threw it in the scrap lot. A little over 3 grams, $110. Each of those things would have cost either $2 to $3 a piece, or I got them in a lot. So it's probably $8 to $10 at most in on that lot. Here's a guitar strap that I've had for a long time, and I have 2 identical ones. You can see right here, it's a really cool old pattern. This was made in the 1960s. It was popular with rock guitarists of the time, the 60s and the 70s. People like Jimi Hendrix, for example, were known to wear not exactly this color style, but this style and brand. The brand is called Ace guitar straps. And you'll know at the bottom down here, it has this little shape with Ace here. It's a spade, you know, and it says made in the USA. If they say something else or they don't say that, they're usually some sort of Japanese brand. I won't want to say knockoff, but they're because they're also really good quality, but they're just made not by the Ace brand. But they can have value as well. But if you ever come across a guitar strap by the Ace brand, these things can bring, on the low end, usually $50 to $60, and on the high end, $300 to $400, depending on how rare the color scheme is. And so this was a really cool story. I sold this for $120 because I wanted one that was just like it, except that it has the green. In fact, let me grab this to show you off of the guitar here.
And it's right here. You can see this. It's the same one, but you can see that this little spot right here is green. And you can see this one right here is kind of a lavender color. So I already have the one with the lavender color. I had two of them. I wanted this one with the green one. So I sold this, and as chance would have it, I discovered that someone was selling the one I wanted for $90. So I sold this, and the same day, I bought the one with the green, which is what I wanted, and I came out about $30 ahead. I bought this at a thrift store ages ago, probably when I was in college, so 20 some years ago. And so, you know, hated to part with it, but at the same time, I got the one that I wanted, so that was fun. Next up, we have a set. This came out of a lot of jewelry that I bought from somebody randomly in a parking lot. I was at an antique store that I sell at locally, replenishing some things. A woman came in and said, "Hey, I got some costume jewelry. Would you guys be interested?" And they get people every day coming and wanting to sell different things. And they're like, "Well, we don't, but like maybe some of our vendors would." And I said, "Well, hey, I might be interested in seeing it." I walked outside. Long story short, I paid her about $100 for probably about $2,000 worth of costume jewelry. And this was in there. It was a set, Trifari, Crown Trifari, which if you're not familiar, this is what the logo looks like. It's the word Trifari, and it has a crown above the T. Certain sets and or certain individual pieces, necklaces, brooches, can be worth hundreds of dollars a piece. And this one, because it was a set, brought me a really good amount. So this one item, this one set, I paid $100 for that jewelry. This one item, I got all my money back, and I was already into profit off of this. So be familiar with your costume jewelry brands. Here's another set of Trifari. These are ones I picked up for $3 a piece. Well, $15 in. Sold it for $42. This was just 3 brooches and 2 necklaces. And another nice little lot of gold jewelry, some antique cufflinks, a couple of rings with some, I think that ring had cubic zirconia in it, but 10.5 grams of 10 karat gold. I accepted an offer for $225, and I would have paid, I actually think I paid up for the cufflinks. I think I paid $30 for the cufflinks. So it'd have been $40 or less in on this, and I sold, made a really good profit. I buy gold and silver jewelry all the time at thrift stores because people, A, don't know how to look for marks, B, they don't know what a mark means when they see it, or C, they didn't even look because they get such high volumes of things. They just know that all costume jewelry is $3. It's a ring, $3. Or maybe, earrings are $1 a pair, rings are $2, necklaces are $3, and they just throw it out there and they don't look. Be familiar with what, sterling silver, to know that 925 means sterling, or sterling means sterling, or 800 is not sterling silver, but it's 800 parts silver instead of 925 parts silver. Or know what 585 and 750. 750 means 18 karat gold. It's the European hallmark. I've bought multiple bracelets in the last 2 years that were worth between $1,500 and $2,000 because they said 750 and nobody knew what that meant. It's 18 karat solid gold. Pay $3, $5 for these things and flip them. So be familiar with that. Always inspect the back, the clasps underneath. Bring a loop with you, something like this. Bring a little loop so that you can look really closely if you don't have good eyesight. Please do that because there are deals to be found out there. Here's another large lot. It had a bunch of old vintage charms, sterling silver charms, 197 charms. There was 800 grams, and I got a little bit more. Usually you make about 750 or 75% of the gram weight. So if it was 1,000 grams, you'd make $750. Well, I made more on this because someone's going to turn around and sell each of these charms individually. I just didn't want to spend the time doing that. It wasn't worth it to me. So I just blew it out. These things have been compiled over time. $1 here, $1 there. Get them in a bag. I sell the bag for money. I pull out the silver and hold on to it. So I was, I'm sure, $100 or less into this entire lot. Sold it for $140 because I waited to sell it as a group. Here was another little charm. I bought this on a necklace. The necklace was just a basic alloy, but the charm was 14 karat gold. It was marked on the back of it. And so you can see right there, let me click that, right up here, it said Italy, 14K.
So I turned a $3 purchase into $90. Here's another one, a bunch of jewelry, as you can tell. I sell a lot of jewelry, lots of small things. This is a brand called Vendome, and or Vendome, and a really beautiful piece. I don't always buy this brand, but I looked this up, and others were selling in the hundreds as well, about $150. I didn't want to sit and compete with them, so I lowered it to $132, and it sold within about 2 days. And I paid $8 for it. Okay, vintage fairy tale books. I love old books, and this was some Grimm's fairy tales, Andersen's, Hans Christian Andersen. Look at this old one right here with the witch in the middle. Was really cool. So some of these books from late 1800s, early 1900s. I would have paid no more than $2 per book, $2, $4, $6, $8, $10 in on this. Sold it for $120. Moving right along. This was also from that tool lot that I was selling for someone else. It was a gigantic whetstone, which is what you use to sharpen knives and things with blades. It looked like it had never been used. Had been sitting in this guy's workshop for a long time, had sawdust all over it, but the whetstone itself was in pristine condition. And it's just one piece of this one block here, as you can see, sold for $85. Those things can bring good values, especially if they're in really good condition, and if they come with their original case. Last up today, some vintage Pyrex. Pyrex, guys, sells for gobs of money. Certain sets with certain pictures on them. If they're in really good condition, you're going to get your best money if they come with the original lids, and the lids are in good condition. But I paid $4 each for these, so I was $12 in. It took me about a week, and I sold them for $75. I had 3 others that were 3 separate colors, a kind of like a mustard color, a red, and a blue, and I sold those at the antique store for around the same price, about $80. So keep an eye out for this. Bowls, bigger ones. Do Google Lens. You can look within eBay, or you can look on Google itself, and it'll tell you what it is. Well, that's what we have for you today. Thank you for sticking around. Hope this helped you a little bit. Maybe you learned that certain things have values you didn't know. Maybe you got some in the kitchen right now that you should go grab and throw on eBay. But good luck treasure hunting. We'll see you soon. We got a bunch more stuff that's sold in the last 2 weeks, so we'll have another video for you coming soon. Take care.